This video tutorial will walk you through WeVideo, a web-based collaborative video creator and editor. What we first want to do is log into our account. You log into your WeVideo account by navigating and pointing your browser to www.wevideo.com. If you have an account, you don't need to sign up. You would simply go to login. But here, since we have Google accounts, we want to click and authenticate to our Google account. In WeVideo, you can collaborate in two different ways, by sharing media files or by joining or sharing a project. To collaborate on a video project, you either need to create the project yourself and invite other members or be invited to join another project. To start your first project, let's click on the Projects tab in the upper toolbar. Once you click on Projects, you should see something that looks like this. You can also have this displayed in the grid format if you so prefer. But right now we'll just keep it list. A project is a collection of video edits that share a common theme or event. To create a project, we're going to click on the plus in the lower right hand corner of our screen and then click on the new project icon. If you have folders that you want these to be organized in, you can click on new folder, into which you can then categorize and organize your projects. So for now, we'll just create a new project. We'll give it a name. And we'll give it a description. You then need to indicate the project type. For projects, there are three ways that you can work on projects. They can be personal projects, which simply means only you can view and edit those videos in that project. You can have a collaborative, which is the option that we'll choose for today. And collaborative is ideal for videos that involve multiple creators. For instance, you can have teammates who can work on one video and iterate until the video is complete, or they can create their video with personal media or media they share with each other. Shared is ideal for teams working on multiple videos that share a common topic but will not involve multiple creators per video. So for instance, if you have a shared pool of media, students can access the same media, but they will not be able to edit or view others' projects. After you indicate the type of project, you then want to click Next. The next part is adding members to your project. There are a few ways that you can add members to your project. We can add everyone within the organization, which wouldn't be ideal for purposes of the project, selecting members or groups, and finally invite with a link. For purposes of our project, because everyone has already been enrolled through their Google accounts, we'll select members from a group. Alternatively, if you want to quickly get someone access into your account or to your project rather, you could simply invite with a link. For now, let's select members and groups and click on Next. You'll select your members, and for right now, I'm the only member in the group, so I'll click myself and click Next. Once you've created the project, you can now add media. You can add media from already populated lists, or you can always add media or project media later from the Media tab. For now, I will skip this option because I don't want to use any of these pieces of media. Click on Next. This tells you that your project has successfully been created. You can then click on Finish, and then you will then be placed into the project panel. From within our dashboard, we now want to get started. Make sure you're logged into WeVideo and that you have the tutorial project open. If you need to locate the tutorial project, you'll simply click on the help icon on the top right corner and click on Start Tutorial. Once the tutorial loads, you'll want to get to know the WeVideo editor. I'll only highlight a few areas of this editor. First, you have what is called the Media Library over here to your left, followed by a preview window which allows you to see your source footage as well as your story as you begin to develop and build the storyline. The timeline is where you will assemble and rearrange pieces of your story, including audio, video, and any other elements that you may want to include. And finally, additional controls and actions like the undo button and other pieces and other features. You have filter, you have sort, and you also have different listing views. Just for your information, WeVideo continuously saves your work, so you don't have to worry about saving as you go. If you do want to save manually, simply press Command S from a Mac or Control S from a PC. When you start a new video, the default name is My Video, but by simply clicking in this area, you can rename the video and give it a specific title. For now, we'll just call it Candy Nights Tutorial Final. Now we want to start building our story. In this demonstration project, we'll create a visual story called Candy Nights. You can see here that I've already changed the name of the video. You can simply type in whatever name you decide to choose for your video project. I've called this Candy Nights Tutorial. I've clicked OK. And now what I would like to do is identify and sort the footage that's already provided for me in my tutorial. In the media library, you're going to locate the media tab, which is simply here. There are 5 tabs here. You have media, you have graphics, you have transitions, you have audio, finally you have text. Well, let's go back to media for now. Under the media tab, you'll select the project media folder, which should already be selected for you if it isn't already. And then you're going to want to easily sort this media by clicking on the sort icon. The sort icon is your button right here. It has, once you hover it over, it will say sort media. You can select how you wish for this media to be sorted: by name, by the date it was uploaded, by the length or duration of the clip, and then you can have it either organized in ascending or descending format. For purposes of the project, I'll just leave it on these pre-selected options. All the clips begin with a number and should now be sorted in numerical order. And it looks like I need to do a little resorting here, so let me just fix that for us. And I'll sort this by name actually, so that it can be in numerical order. All right, there you'll see that we now have our media files organized by name, alpha order, but right now we have 01, 02, 03, so on and so forth. If you want to preview the clips, you click on one to select it, and then simply click play, the play icon under the preview window. All right. Now we want to assemble our sequence. A sequence is nothing more than a series of individual pieces of video that are put together in the order that you wish to tell your story. In this case, we will put together the footage for our main story. To create our story, we will drag and drop the clips onto the timeline. What you see down here are known as tracks. For purposes of the video, we have what are called video tracks, followed by an audio track, which is typically at the bottom. At the very top of all of the track listings, you have what is called your timeline. And the timeline is nothing more than a linear as well as visual representation of your story. So what we'll do now, all stories start obviously with the beginning, and the beginning is on the left of this timeline, and we'll continue horizontally until we reach the end. The timeline, as I mentioned, already contains horizontal tracks or horizontal rows known as tracks, and the top tracks hold videos, photos, and text, and the bottom holds music and sound effects. In the media library, go ahead and locate clip number 1, which is called a wide approach, and click and drag it to the video 1 timeline track. Then select and drag clip 2 and place it immediately following clip 1. You want to make sure that these clips touch each other. Go ahead and do the same for clip 3 and drag it to the right of clip 2. To preview this story, you could either drag the playhead, this blue rectangular space or this rectangular area here is called your playhead. It provides options for adding markers or scissors so that you can cut and splice different pieces of media. So for now, I'm going to just simply hit my space bar to preview what I've organized. For now, we'll stop at clip 3. Again, you can just hit the space bar to pause that, or you can use the pause button under the media player here. Now we want to make these pieces fit together by first trimming the sequence. Video footage often includes some sections that we don't desire. These extra sections can be removed by trimming the clips. Trimming doesn't permanently remove the extra bits of video, it simply hides it. The beginning and end points of a clip are known as the in, in, and the out, O-U-T, out points. The end point obviously is the start of the clip, the out point is the end of the clip. In this example, the action in clips 2 and 3 is supposed to match. In order for this to happen, we need to trim one of these clips so that we can make that happen. So you'll select clip number 2 in the timeline. You should see an orange outline around the clip. The orange outline simply means that your clip is active. You want to grab the playhead. Again, this rectangular space or shape here is known as the playhead, and move it across clip 2 in the timeline. Moving the playhead to the left or right allows you to preview your clip. We'll use this to locate the section we don't want. And in this clip, what I'm going to do is identify when the kids in the clip reach the trees and then they look between the trees. Well, at this point, you should see the back of their heads as they peek between the trees. We'll move the playhead to that location. So right about there. Now that we have identified the place that we want to clip, you'll then drag the playhead after you've already done that, and you'll click O so that you can create what's called an out point. This makes a cut and removes the end of your clip, creating the O or out point. You'll also notice that there's a gap between clips 2 and 3. In a moment, we'll fix that. To trim the end point, what you're going to want to do is first select the clip. You'll make it active, and the way that you know it is active is that it has an orange highlight around it. You'll move your cursor to the edge, either edge, of the clip until you see the pointer change from a hand to 2 arrows. So here you notice that we have 2 arrows. Click the edge of the clip and hold your mouse as you drag to the right to trim the end point, the end point of your clip. And for purposes of this particular story, what we want to do is trim the beginning of this clip until we see the children or the kids peeking between the trees. Okay. We'll now take the playhead, move it to the beginning of clip 2, and press the space bar to play the sequence. You should see the backs of the kids as they look between the trees and then see their faces peek through the trees. You'll notice that there are gaps here that we will resolve in just a bit. To build our story, you'll notice that some gaps were left behind when we trimmed the clips. To close these, we will use 2 features, multi-select and close gaps. To select the clips, you're going to click on the empty track above the clips and drag until you create an outline around all of the clips in the timeline, like so. Once you've done that, you'll notice that a blue overlay will appear and the clip selected will have a green outline. When you release the button on your mouse, a blue outline will appear around all your selected clips. This is called multi-select. You're going to move your mouse over one clip and right-click, and you'll get the option to do close gaps or add transition. For purposes of this example, we want to close gaps. Closing the gap should move all the selected clips to the left until they connect with each other. In order, we're then going to add the rest of the video clips from the media library to the timeline, except for the file named Final Video Example. Notice here that I've added the remaining of the video clips from the media library to the timeline. A good rule of thumb in video creation is to start and end each clip on an action whenever possible. For example, in clip 7, we want to trim the beginning until we see the foot in the left-hand corner. So the way that I'll find that is by dragging the playhead over the clip until we see the foot, which was just about there. Let's say there. Now remember, because this is the beginning of the clip, also known as the end point, we want to trim this, and I could do that by dragging the arrows, or I can also use the scissors to trim it in that particular location. What that does is then cuts this clip into 2 pieces. I can easily click on and delete that piece. Again, it'll create a gap, and we can close that gap later. But we could also use the scissors or the arrows, as I showed you earlier, to remove those pieces. The edit should make it feel like the kids watch the door and then run to it as fast as they can from the end of one clip to the next. So there you are. All right. To adjust the timeline, you'll notice as you add more clips, you may want to adjust the zoom. Zoom is located down here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. That simply enlarges or lengthens the timeline for you so that you can do a more fine-tuned clip or editing. Zooming out shows you more clips, obviously, and zooming in will show you less. This helps when you need to do multi-selecting or moving clips to different positions in the timeline. The base sequence is shown here in our timeline. We now want to add music and special sound effects. The project media folder includes fun sound effects, but what we'll do is first locate a music track from the built-in WeVideo music library. To do that, what we're going to do is switch to the media or music tab rather, and you'll notice that there are a few different tracks populated here in this particular library. From the list, we're going to select the folder called Premium Music. In Premium Music, you'll notice that there's a subfolder called Suspenseful. Let's double click on that, and you'll locate a track called Magical World. Once you find Magical World, you're going to then bring it and click it and drag it and place it below our sequence in the Audio 1 timeline. Make sure that it's placed to the far left in line with the beginning of the story. Now, if we wanted to preview our story, we could simply hit Shift Enter or the space bar. You'll notice the enhanced presentation of the video with the audio. What we want to do now is then trim the ends of our song so that it ends just a few seconds after the video of our story ends. To do that, we have to make sure that our track or that our clip is active by clicking on it, and you'll then notice the orange outline around it. Then you're going to move your cursor to the edge of the clip and then drag it to just a few seconds after the end of your video track. This is now the out point of the clip. Maybe I'll give it a few extra seconds there. Okay. Now to create a new track and to make our story even more interesting, we're going to add a second soundtrack and additional sound effects to this particular video sequence. To do that, we'll need to create more music tracks. So notice that we have one audio track here. To add additional audio tracks, you'll click the plus and you're going to give it or select the audio title or audio option, and the new track title, we'll just leave it as audio 2 so that we can kind of keep track of which tracks that we use. So we've added a second audio track. Let's go ahead and do that again by adding a third audio track. Great. So now in your timeline section, you should see video 1, which holds your main sequence of video. You'll also notice a video 2. There is a gap here, and we'll fix those gaps later, so don't worry about that if you notice it. Video 1, video 2, and then we also have 3 different audio tracks, with audio 1 being the music pulled directly from this Suspenseful folder in the track titled Magical World. We now want to add a few sound effects. To do that, what we're going to do is then access again the WeVideo folder, which has sound effects. So going back to this music sound folder, you're going to find sound effects, and then we're going to look for under nature, the nature folder. We're going to locate a audio track called Summer Afternoon. You're going to take the Summer Afternoon and drag it to the second music track titled Audio 2. And then we're going to go back again, and then we're going to look for sound effects that we included in this project named Big Body Punch 2 and Sword. But in order to do that, we'll have to go back to our project folder, our project media, because those audio clips are found there. You may have noticed that at the very beginning. Here's the Big Body Punch and the Sword. What we'll first do is we're going to drag the playhead to the location in the timeline where the sword fight begins. So what we'll do is grab the playhead and just quickly scroll over where we begin to see the scene where the sword fight takes place. And it's just about here. So let's say there. Okay. What we'll want to do there is we're going to want to add what's called a marker. To add a marker, you're going to click this plus here, which is just a shield with a plus in it. And what we'll give this title, we can just call it Sword. Sword Big Shing, because that's the name of the track. And then we'll add done. What that does is it places a simple marker here for us to know, I'll take that one out, that's from a previous edit, that for us to know where that audio, that particular soundtrack should come in. What I now want to do is then drag in the Sword Big Shing track onto audio track 3 and place it directly at the beginning of that marker that I placed when I wanted to find the beginning of the sword scene. You should now have a sequence that looks a little something like this. A total of 4 tracks, 3 of them audio, 1 of them video. You'll notice at this point we won't be using this just now, but this is pretty much what you should see. To create the audio mix, we want to have a good balance between the sound effects and the music. Usually the volume for sound effects is lower than that of the music, and if there is a dialogue, we want to make sure the voices are higher than the music. So what we'll do now is learn how to lower the volume of a track and create what's called a fade out on a clip. What you want to do is go back here and locate these audio, these are video or volume rather, I'm sorry. These are volume sliders. And what we want to do with audio track 1, the one with the summer afternoon, which was this here, is take this and reduce the volume. You'll notice it's on 100%. Drag that until we get to about, let's say 14%. We want to do the same thing, and then we want to reduce or lower the audio, the last audio track, which is audio 3, this clip here, the one with sword. Let's take that to about 50%. Okay, so notice that the volumes for each of these audio tracks will be different. Now let's focus on the actual music track. We're going to select the clip named Magical World and locate the level lines icon. Here's the Magical World, and here, if we click here, you'll notice there's an icon just to the upper left of the track. That track gives us options for fading in and fading out. Let's click on that there to get the extended menu. We want to fade in and fade out the audio only. You'll notice that it gives us a fade in of 1 second and a fade out of 1 second. To close this, we'll just click on this box again, and that should then be gone. If you want to preview it at this point to just get a taste of what your video will look like, this is a good time to do so. Add a few finishing touches with transitions and text. So to add transitions, transitions usually help move the story along from one video clip to the next. Most of our clips move seamlessly without needing the transition just because of the action that's present in the clip. But sometimes when adding a transition is beneficial, obviously, to introduce and close the story, we'll want to add a transition. So let's do that by adding a transition to the first clip and the last clip of the main sequence. So the main sequence is here on our video timeline. What we'll want to do is switch to the transitions tab here in the media library, and remember it's one of those 5 there. We're going to locate the transition called crossfade. It's the one in the upper left hand corner. What we want to do is take that and drag it on top of track 1 or video 1 in front of the very first clip that we have present, and you'll notice it'll place a small rectangular area there with the shape in it. Okay, what we want to do then is take that and then drag all the way down to the very last clip and add that same transition to that clip, to the end of the clip. And you'll notice it'll place that same little rectangular shape. After adding that transition, we now want to add text. So to complete our video, we'll just simply add what's called an end card. For this, we'll use one of the text graphics that's already pre-built into WeVideo. From the transition tab, we'll then want to click on the text tab. On the text tab, there's an asset called text, which is simply here. We're going to click and drag this text clip to the video track just above the main video sequence. So we'll now be placing this right on the video 2 line. So we'll grab it and push it all the way down so that it will appear just above the end of the final track or the final clip. So after that, we click on the text clip, and in order to edit it, we'll just simply double click in there, which will bring up a text editor. Here's where we can adjust the color, the font, the placement, and any other formatting options that you may want to explore. What we'll do is type the words "the end" into our text property box. You'll notice that it'll change that there. We'll also want to change the font. Let's change the font to, let's say, Play Ball. After that, let's align this text to the right. And you'll notice it'll make the adjustments in the text editor or in the preview screen for you. And then what we'll want to do is reposition this text graphic by taking it and dragging it down to the lower right hand corner of the preview window. Maybe just about there. To help, you may want to show a grid just to give you some lines. You may also want to use the snap so that it'll snap into place if that's something that you also desire. What you'll do here is simply click on Done Editing to save those changes. Now that you've done all the editing, it's time to preview and complete your video and finalize it. While I won't play the preview here in the live video, what I will now show you how to do is how we finalize this video. What I'll do at the very top, just here under the options or the menu tab, is click on Finish. Once you click on Finish, you will get a message box that pops up and asks you to rename or provide a title for your video. I've already titled this video Candy Nights Tutorial, so I won't type it again, but you'll click on OK or just hit Enter, and then you'll select the quality that you wish to have, standard or HD. I would say go ahead and go for HD. That's great for online video. You get a quick video processing and it produces a small file. What you'll then do is indicate where you want this video to go. For our purposes of the project, you'll want this to go to your Google Drive as well as YouTube. For now, I'll just walk you through what it'll look like on Google Drive. You'll click on Finish Video. It will begin the process. You do not have to keep this screen open while the video processes. What you can do is go back and wait if you want, or go back and work on something else, and what will happen at the end is it will produce an email for you indicating that your video is finished, and in that email you'll also receive a download button. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.